Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Badass Mama Moves. I am your host, Jara, and I am super excited about tonight's episode because I know it's going to be a powerful one. If you are joining us live, say hello so we know that you're here with us. And if you're watching the replay, don't forget to comment hashtag replay so we know that you showed up and that we can show you some love too. So, while you are at it, go ahead and share this live with someone that you really will benefit from this conversation because I know it's going to be a great one. So, tonight we are talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention. We spend so much time talking about raising boys, successful boys, helping them get good grades and teaching them to work hard, to be respectful, to become a good provider one day, and all of that. But how often do we talk about helping them become emotionally healthy men? I'll let that marinate for a sec. Because one day those little boys will become husbands and they will become fathers, and friends, bosses, and leaders, and all of that. And the emotional foundation that we help build today can shape every relationship they have tomorrow. And as a boy mama myself, this conversation is really personal to me. Like so many of you, I found myself asking, am I giving my son the emotional tools he'll need later in life? And, am I creating a home where he knows he can come to me when he's hurting, when he feels the feels, right? Will he grow to be believing that asking for help is a sign of strength and not weakness? And yes, he does talk to me about certain things but as a single mom, raising my son without a male figure in the home, in the house, I've also asked myself, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Because the truth is that there are some things that I simply cannot teach him in the way a healthy male role model can. There are experiences I'll never have because I'm raising him from a woman's perspective. No matter how much I think I'll know, growing up with all boys, right? Because I only have brothers, still not the same, right? And there are moments when I wonder, am I missing something? Am I really preparing him? And I wrestle with those questions more than I would like to admit. And to be honest and transparent with you guys, I wrestle with those. And I would like to think that and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only mama who's ever felt that way. So tonight is not about judging, it's not about blaming. And parents, absolutely not. It's about learning, and we're learning together. It's about having an honest conversation, hearing different perspectives, and hopefully walking away with a few things we can all take back into our homes. And I know I'm pretty sure I'm going to take some good nuggets from tonight's conversation. And of course, I couldn't done this and have this conversation all by myself, right? So tonight I'm invited three incredible guests who each bring a different perspective, different experiences, and they are amazing. So let's bring our first guest. Our first guest is a faith driven poet. He's a speaker, he's an author, and a coach. He's a loving son, a husband, and someone many of you knows as the Wise Wolf. And honestly, with that name like that, there's no way I wasn't inviting him to join this pack, right? So please help me welcome the one and only Raul Marin.
Hey, Yara, how are
Hi,
you?
Raul.
Such a pleasure to be here with you and on this platform. Thank you for having me and for really just, like you said, having a conversation that just doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm ready and I'm excited to get started.
Thank you so much for being here tonight and taking time to join us tonight. So let's
Absolutely.
just break the ice. Let's just
Let's just break the
right
ice.
in.
Romper el
What
hielo.
about this topic spoke to you?
I think about I think about those young men because those young men are not the future; they're now. And what better than to start providing them with that positive male influence now, so that when that door opens and they're going into there, and all of a sudden they're becoming young men, they're becoming fiancés, they're becoming husbands and
Yeah.
professionals, entrepreneurs, whatever chapter in life that they have, emotional strength is going to be one of those things that helps them to succeed in every aspect of their life. So it's just one of those topics that young men have to start embracing and talking about now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Awesome. Great, great answer. Thank you so much for sharing. So
of course.
let's welcome our second guest. And she is the owner of Roman Coaching Academy, a mom of a 20-year-old son. She is a behavioral health professional by day and a business coach by night, and a 24/7 mom. I just added that one. Please help me welcome the beautiful Christina Roman.
Oh,
Hi, Christina.
hi.
How are
Hey,
you?
sister.
How are you? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And same question. What about this topic spoke to you?
I think that having emotionally healthy men and helping grow an emotional healthy man in my son who's 20 years old now, it just moved me. I felt connected to the importance of this topic and this conversation because it's always been something in the back of my mind, being a single mom and raising a son throughout the years. Since I can only raise him, as a mom, as a woman,
Right.
trying to make him an emotional, healthy man. So this is an excellent topic. I'm so grateful that we're having it because I know that there are other men and women who are watching who have the same feeling of the men that they're raising in their lives too.
Absolutely. So you and I definitely can relate. It's a single mom of 18 and 20-year-old young men. So we are here. And now our last and certainly not least, third guest. He is a coach, keynote speaker, national trainer in classroom management, and a retired military veteran. Thank you for your services. He is a fellow host also on the Prosperity TV Network, where he hosts Silent No More, a show that focuses on mental health, a topic that another topic that is super important, honestly not talked about nearly enough. So thank you for helping normalize those type of conversations, and help me welcome Coach Trail. You are on mute.
Thank you for that warm introduction and hello to the panel. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with us. Same question, Coach Trail. What about this topic spoke to you?
I think it's just more or less kind of like you mentioned, the same path as having men to speak out, be silent no more. So we might as well find a better time than now. Just have young men get in contact and with their emotional side. And then nowadays, let's talk about what it means to be a young man and what exactly is expressing emotions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's just jump right in. I truly believe that this conversation is going to be loud. It's going to resonate with so many people. As I shared earlier, I'm a single mama. My son is 18 years old in college. Time definitely flown by. Like many children, he witnessed an unhealthy relationship growing up. His father was a narcissist, and one of the things we often disagreed on was how our son should express his emotions. I always wanted him to know that it was okay to tell me when he was hurting, if anything bothered him, to cry if he needed to talk about what he was feeling. And his dad, on the other hand, had the boys don't cry, man up type of mentality. And believe me, we have plenty of disagreements about that. And because of that, that made me even more intentional through the years about creating a safe space where my son knew he could come to me to talk and share his feelings and feel comfortable coming to me. So I would love to start there and ask you guys, what does it really mean to raise an emotionally healthy man? Like, some of us have heard that phrase, but what does it really mean when you hear the phrase emotionally healthy man? What comes to mind? What does it actually look like in everyday life? And I'm going to start with Raul.
Excellent question, Yara. To me, from my perspective, it just means that it's a man that knows how to have the easy and the difficult conversations with the same energy. You know,
Mm,
not too high, not too low. He's just kind of level, and it's not easy. But over time, you start to be able to grow in that confidence to speak on both subjects with the same energy and not feel like you're stepping over somebody's you're stepping on somebody's foot, or you're disappointing somebody, or because somebody raised you a certain way you have to express yourself that way. But that's not,
right.
it's about how you process both those easy and those difficult conversations. And to me, that's what it means. No matter if I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be an easy conversation as far as what do you like to do, versus the difficult conversation. You know, why is it that you feel like you keep stumbling over something,
Right.
right?
That's a
So
great point.
that might be a point of frustration, a point of a moment of pain that maybe doesn't get let out until he feels like he's around somebody who he trusts enough to talk about that with.
Hmm.
But it could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your brother. Whether it's an easy or difficult conversation, that it's easy for the guy, for the man to talk about it.
Yeah, that's those are great points. And I think it's also it's like a muscle memory, right? The more you do it, the easier and the better you get at, be at it, expressing your emotions. But also you mentioned trust, which is key in being able to really communicate to whoever it is that you are trying to communicate with, because the trust is not there and the receiver is not really giving that vibe, it's just not going to happen. So great points. How about you, Christina?
I think that an emotionally healthy man is someone who knows how to navigate their emotions in different situations. It could be good, bad, or ugly, but
Mhm.
it's just someone who realizes what the situation is for what it is, and then can navigate the emotions through those tough times or great times. And just being able to process in general.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, I believe it's again, it's just a matter of being able to um, trust and feel comfortable to really express no matter the situation and what is it really going on. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it in between? Like Raul said, it's keeping not too much, not too little, just in that medium well. I don't
Mhm.
know, something like that.
Yep. Yep.
Great answer, Christina. Thank you so much. How about you, Kostra?
I would just say both great answers. I would just say an individual that's grounded, has a solid foundation, good morals, good compass, good core values. Based on that with a solid foundation, we got a place to build and hopefully a good direction and trajectory going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, that's a great point. Core values as well, that plays a big role. And for me, I think when I hear emotionally healthy man, I think of a man who's comfortable being himself, right? A man who knows that it's okay to feel, it's okay to communicate, it's okay to cry if he needs to, and ask for help if he needs it, and not being afraid of to show love and be compassionate compassionate, and who can say, "Hey, I was wrong. Hey, I'm hurting. I need help." Without feeling like it makes him less of a man. So I think of that as well because we are in a society where um, people, men have to be strong and they can cry, and that if they really share their emotions, oh, he's not a real man or whatnot. But no, they're human as well. So they feel the feels as well. Now, many boys grow up with that, hearing man up, stop crying, shake it off, be tough, those kind of things. And most people don't say those things. Most parents don't say those things to hurt them. I genuinely believe that they say those things because they think that they're preparing them for life, right? And to be tough and not so that no one will take advantage of them. But what message is it that boys are actually hearing when they are told these things? Like, what do you guys think they are really receiving and hearing, and how do they really register when they hear those things? What do you think, Christine?
That's a good question because I can say that I'm guilty of probably using some of those phrases to my son in the past. Um, so I think that maybe when they're hearing those phrases, they feel that or can feel that the way that they're acting in that moment is opposite of what we're telling them. So if I'm telling him be strong or man up, then are you saying that I'm not being a man right now, or what my actions at
Mm,
that moment, if they're crying or something like that, are you saying that I'm not doing that? Be strong. Am I being weak right now? So it's a questionable moment for them versus supporting the feelings that they have at those moments when you hear those terms.
yeah, I agree. It's kind of like it contradicts, right? Like it's the opposite of what they're feeling. So am I not supposed to cry? Am I not supposed to feel what I'm feeling, right? And that's how they start to suppress those emotions and those feelings, and later on come out a totally different way. How about you, Coach Cheryl?
Speaking with young men and working with some older gentlemen and actually asking these questions is, what did it mean when somebody said this to you? And a lot of times, the younger men, they said, "Well, act like what man?" Um, because a lot of times they felt like the individual that was in their home wasn't projecting or living up to the image of what they thought a man was supposed to connect between, the father and the child, or the older gentleman and the younger gentleman. So I think, again, it just kind of goes back along the lines of communication and expectation management. If you're telling somebody to act like a man, then maybe we should get a clear definition of what this man is that you want them to act like. So just my perspective.
No, that's actually a great point because if they haven't seen or haven't had a good role model, male role model, they don't know what that means really. How is it that they're supposed to act if they haven't seen it? So that's a great point. How about you, Raul?
It's one of those phrases that uses a lot, and it has so many different contexts of what it means. And I think there's a time and a place for it.
Mhm.
Sometimes, yeah, we do have to man up. We do have to be strong, because when a guy lets his emotions take control of his actions, and I think we all know this in the business and life space, life doesn't care about our emotions. If we have deliverables and we don't do them because we weren't strong enough, then okay, that day turns into a week, and that week turns into a month. And then I think in those instances, it's where you say, okay, you got to be strong now. You got to man up because you've been delaying what you should have done, like last month.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where it can register. Like, okay, there's something inside of me that I've just got to do. But in those instances where life hurts right now, and all this guy really wants is for you to hear him. He doesn't need to be judged or given feedback. He just wants to be heard. I think those are those instances where that phrase might not come off very well, because now he's thinking, so now you're judging me because I can't even tell you how I feel. So I think it just really depends on what part of life he's going through right now, where that either registers as I'm not being man enough, or maybe I do need to apply some discipline, some
Yeah,
some
that's a great
follow.
point. Yeah, that's a great point. And it's what when they are in that moment that sometimes they just want to be heard. It's whoever he's talking to, like us as mom. It's matter of like really listening and react less, right? Just really listen and sometimes just be there and not say anything. Just listen and just let them just decompress. I think that with many boys hearing the not just don't cry, they hear that your feelings aren't welcome. Is that pretty much what you said, Raul? If I'm hurting, I should keep it to myself. If I cry, I'm weak, right? If I ask for help, people would think less of me. And over time, they may start believing that they have to carry everything on their own and just not say anything, just keep it to themselves. And that's when all those emotions get pushed down, like I said earlier, and pushed down, pushed down, pushed down, they get suppressed. And then years later, they can become like a pressure cooker, just waiting to explode. And that's usually when the toxic and the unhealthy relationships come in. And I truly believe that most parents are not saying these things because they want to hurt their sons. Like I said earlier, they're saying it because they think they are preparing them for the tough life out there. And sometimes without even realizing, we are teaching our boys to hide their emotions instead of helping them understand them and how to, teaching them how to express them and work through, you know, through them in a healthy way. And I think that one of the greatest gifts we can give our boys is teaching them to be strong. It's not pretending that you are okay when you're really falling apart. Um, and really teaching them that strength is courage. So I don't think most people stop to think about what those little phrases really teaching their boys, because children don't hear our words, they create meaning from them, right? They attach meanings to them. And when little boys hear man up every time that he's upset, or stop crying every time he's hurt, he's not just hearing those words, he's learning something about himself, something that about his emotions. And those phrases can really teach them, little boys, to believe that crying is weakness, and that they're not supposed to feel sadness. So those phrases can teach. What do you think those phrases can really teach boys about their emotions? So when you think those phrases teach them, what is it that they're really hearing when they just not really registering? What do you think, Christina?
What are they hearing when we say man up? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you mean? Um, Part of me wants to say that they're hearing that whatever they're doing at that moment is not adequate as a man, because as a woman, I've never had someone say man up to me because I'm a woman. So I think I'm assuming that when men or men hear man up, or I want that phrase to say get it together. That's what I would say to my son. You need to man up. Like, get your stuff together and do what you got to do. But at the same time, I agree with Raul's comment when he said that it depends on the scenario and the situation, of when that phrase is being used. Because if you're in a vulnerable state and you're in a communicative state, and you're talking to someone who's trusted, that man up could mean a lot. It's time to man up. It's the way that it's said and who's saying it to you, versus how it's said by just someone just saying, assuming that they know what it's meant. So that's my thought.
That's a great answer. Great point. What do you think, Raul?
There's a good phrase that I love to trace back on when I talk to people about this topic, and that is that there's a difference between what is said and what is heard, and there's a difference between what is meant and what is received. And so when guys hear that man up, it's like Christina said, it depends on the context of how they're hearing it, because somebody could say it with the best of intentions. They just want the guy to add a little bit more strength, a little bit more discipline to something that they're doing. But they obviously, maybe they're not performing because nobody's shown them how to do it. Maybe they're lacking a father. Maybe they're lacking an older brother. They're just going about doing what they know how to do. So when you say to that guy, man up, like she said, they're going to receive it differently depending on how it is said. So there's a part of him that feels like I'm not man up, or there's, without expressing it, what they're really saying is, if Christina's telling me to man up, then what does that even mean? Like, tell me what that means. What does manning up mean for you, so that I can?
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's a great point. I think Coach Terrell mentioned earlier, like, what does that mean if they have never had that role model? They never seen it. What does it mean? They don't know how to, right? What do you think, Coach Terrell?
I would say again, it goes back to communication. You know what I mean? Obviously, identifying with the patterns. If you've told somebody to man up once, you told them twice. Obviously, they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So you should probably readjust, reassess, and find another way to engage, and stop using the outdated terminology that these kids probably don't know what you're saying. Again, if you're telling somebody to act accordingly or in a different manner, and they don't understand what you're saying, then you probably should self-evaluate, reassess, and figure out where's the disconnection at. And then we can go from there instead of saying, about these young men just not figuring out, because majority of it is the adults not being able to communicate and connect with these young men. So let's take some of the blame off of these young men, start putting it on some of these adults. And they need to start adapting and start figuring out a way to connect in a more effective way than the ways that they did with their parents and their grandparents.
Absolutely. That was amazing. For me, I think they just learn to just hide, right? And don't have, like, if the emotions don't have a healthy place to go, usually find another way to come out, right? And sometimes it's just anger, shutting down themselves. And it's a great point, like you guys all said, I agree. If there is it's depending how the context, the situation, who's saying it, and how it's been said. And sometimes, when they don't have how you say a way to really express themselves because they don't feel comfortable, again, they just suppress those and they keep pushing it down, they hide them. And again, it's like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. And sometimes it comes as an anger or anxiety, frustration, feeling like they have to carry all the weight of the world by themselves. And that's why I think that this conversation is so important, because we're not talking about teaching boys to be emotional all the time. We are talking about teaching them that it's okay to have the emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad and ask for help and feel the feels, and that there is a healthy way to express them. Because if we don't teach them what to do with those feelings and emotions, life eventually will. And sometimes in a way that can be a whole lot more painful, unhealthy, and with consequences. So moving along, one thing that I learned, and I, like many others as parents, is that our kids don't always come right out and tell us when something is wrong. I know that very well. Sometimes they're hurting, but they don't have the words to explain it. or they just don't dare, or they feel ashamed, or maybe they just learn um, to keep it all inside. And then as parents, we can easily mistake what's really going on. We can mistake it with, oh, he's just having an attitude, or he's just angry, or he's just being a teenager, whatever the case, right? Um, or that he's just pulling away and really struggling with something, when really underneath they're struggling with something that they don't know how to express. So that brings me to the next question is, what signs, and I'm going to ask this more for the men, right? What signs should parents be paying attention? And us, Christina and me, as single mamas of boys, what should we be paying attention to that may tell us a boy is struggling emotionally, even if he never says the word? Let me start with you, Coach Cheryl.
Again, I guess you would have to pay attention to the behavior changes, because you would know better than anyone. You know what I mean? The things that they would typically find joy in, the things they would typically be sad about, um, whatever they have interest in or lose interest, without knowing the situation or having a scenario. Those would be the simplest things that you can look at as the behavior changes. And then just, it's about establishing that relationship so that when you are inquiring, asking questions, it doesn't feel like you're probing and being, invasive and irritating. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to those relationships and those patterns that you have to establish. So, you can't just once in a while check on your son and see how he's doing. It should be, something a little bit more common, or, depending on, the neighbor's friend, or depending on what type of team he's on, reaching out to a coach or another male figure and establishing that middle person, that common ground. So, you got quite a few options, but you got to start slow, stick your toe in the pool before you, just kind of belly flop into the water.
That's a good one. Okay, so losing interest in something that usually he wouldn't. That's what I got. How about you, Raul?
Well, what can I say after that? I mean, great analogy.
You
Uh,
got the mic.
I think as mothers, you know your sons better than anybody. So I think once you start to see the the repetitive behavior of like you said, silence, that's when you should start to have deeper conversations with them, or at least show him that you are somebody he can come to talk to about them. Because
Hmm.
I'm telling you from my own perspective, when my mom knew that she had to have those conversations with me, I couldn't even talk because I bottled things so much that I could. She'd ask me a question like she already knew, but I wasn't opening myself up. So
Right.
by the time she asked me the question, like I just broke down. And so she'd be like, "Okay, I'll wait until you're ready to
Hmm.
talk. Go ahead." So when you start to see that he's silent, keeping things from you, maybe he's talking about those things just with somebody else.
Right.
That's the moment where he
Online
really
and
does need
Roblox.
that trust from you.
Roblox. That's a
It
good
comes from
one
you
right there.
first.
Yeah. Um, so yes, we tend to know our sons better than anybody else. We can still miss things. I know I have. Um, and sometimes, automatically as moms, we try to, like, if we hear something that we might not like, we come into that mama bear protective, like, that you what? So I'm still learning. I'm a work in progress. He's still working on me to, like I said before, listen and react less, or not react at all, or maybe not at that moment, but at some point, maybe later. But I'm sorry. Christina, have you really noticed, have gone through this and really noticed that something was going on, or did you miss it? What you got?
My son is he's very quiet, and he does his own thing. But I'm very intuitive with him. I could tell when he's acting different or acting weird or just something's up. Or maybe he just has FaceTime on his phone a little bit too much. Like, who are you talking to and what? Like, I have those questions, but um, I do notice him when things change, that conversation does come up.
Mm.
And I will tell him the action that changed. Like, babe, I see you doing this. Like, what's going on? And I think it's all about the approach from whoever's asking, mother or
Yeah.
father or brother or sister or whoever, um, and the relationship that you have. So I think if you want to talk about foundations, like Coach Trell mentioned earlier, foundations, you have to have a foundational aspect where communication or trust is part of that. And if you don't have that, and you're entering into a relationship with a young man who may not have it all together, per se, then
Mhm.
you would have to outreach to other people, perhaps to have that leadership or that example for them to have that connection. So it's all about the approach to me. But yeah, it's happened where I could tell the differences, and I know something's going on, but I don't know what it is. And later on when he's like, "Oh yeah, remember when you mentioned such and such? This was happening." I'm like, "Oh, you could have told me that a long time ago. Like, if you thought it was
Yeah.
serious, it wasn't that serious, But
Yeah.
um, it just depends, when
Yeah.
I notice it.
Yeah. We have those instincts, and sometimes I have. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I have no noticed every one of them, right? Each one of them. I have missed, of course, but more often than not, we have that fifth sense, right? Um, and we feel it. And sometimes with me, it's like I just kind of give him the space. I'm watching. Don't get me wrong, like I'm really watching. But I'm just letting him, like, I know it's coming to me at some point. Like sometimes I go like this. So and I start conversation and he opens up. But I have learned to um be a little bit nosy without intruding, if that makes sense, right? um, but at the same time giving him the space that he needs to then get ready and prep to then come to me to talk to me about whatever the case, because then the conversation will be more fluent, it will be better because he's ready to talk.
Yep.
So um, and I know like the biggest signs is that he isolates for me, and my son, he gets quiet. Sometimes he comes across as irritated. Sometimes I could ask him a question and it could be the simplest question. And he puts a face and I feel like punching him, but I just like Yarita, usa, breathe. You're a work in progress. I'll be honest, there have been times I completely missed it, like I said, and what's really going on. I'm still learning, but now I notice that when I notice those changes, instead of assuming he's just, he wants to be left alone. I mean, sometimes I do give him the space, but I try to check in because I learned that there may be something deeper behind it. And even if at the beginning he tries to push me away, I pull back, then I come back. Like I'll be like, "Don't touching. Okay, let's talk." And of course, I pray for him as well. uh, so we are almost at the end of this amazing conversation. As we start to kind of wrap up, it's one thing to recognize that when our boys may be struggling emotionally. It's another thing to know how to respond in a way that helps them feel safe enough to open up. And I know there are probably a lot of parents here watching tonight thinking, okay, I understand why this matters. Fine, I got it. But what can I actually do about it? Right? So let's just make it a little practical. What are some things parents can start doing today that help boys open up and feel comfortable talking about their feelings and what's really going on? Just anything that you guys can share that is actually easy to just apply right now. Christina.
I think listen. What's that thing that they have? Listen, don't and don't judge or whatever. Listen and don't judge or something like that. Whatever that is. But listen, and we don't judge. But at the same time, you have to process. Like you say, Yada, you be feeling some type of way sometimes, right? Like I listen and I'm like, I could tell him to not do this, not do this. You should have did this. You should have that. Don't say nothing. Just
Mm-hmm.
listen. And I think that's the start. There's many things that we can do, but listening to me is the most important because if you truly listen, not to react, but just to understand, then you will be able to eventually coach them out of a situation once they trust you enough to really talk about what's happening. So we've all been there.
Yes, absolutely. So listen and not react. How about you, Raul?
I would say two things. One is to encourage them to do those things that their light shines with. And as mothers, their best friends, their homies, whatever they call them, their bros, they know what that is. It could be like Coach said, taking that belly flop in the pool. It could be doing track. It could be gamers. There's something that they can do that just comes to them like easily. You see that smile on their face. Like, if that's what brings them joy, then they should do more of that because
Hmm.
that's what helps them channel their emotions at least for a little bit with whatever life is throwing at them. And number two is to encourage them to journal because guys we bottle things up and there is a very powerful release of just putting it down on paper because it comes out of your body and you just
Yes,
put it on paper and you already feel 1,000 pounds lighter if you do that.
yes, that's a good one. How about you, Coach Stroh?
No, both great points, and I was going to say the same, but listening, observe. Since they mentioned journal, you should observe, and you should also journal as the parent, because that way you can compare, contrast notes at some point, right? You're not going off of, you know, hypotheticals. And I remember this one time, and then what you it allows you to do is give accurate feedback, both in real time for both of you. So you can journal about yourself, they can journal about themselves, and you can kind of share that information. And nothing better to do than write it down in real time and then use that as maybe a scenario or an example and go over that. So listen, observe, and journal. So, I think those are three great points.
No, all of them are great points. Actually, I'm gonna write down one down for myself because thank you, Raul and Coach Raul, because I do journal for me, right? When and I see patterns and stuff like that, but I never thought of like really journaling for him. I could see patterns. I could be maybe in this season. Maybe he's in that time of the month where he feels it like every month. Maybe it's sometime the month. Oh, that's a pattern. All right, and every 15th this happens. All right. So yes, and for me, I agree with all of you. It's just a matter of just listen more, react less. If it hit me alive, But I must be honest. I must be calm, cool, collected. My face to not lie. I need to kind of like do something with it because my face just talks. Making sure that our boys know exactly they can talk to us without feeling judged or getting or that they're gonna get lectured, right? Because that's another thing we're gonna just push them away. So just listen, react less, not make them feel like they're gonna get lectured. Sometimes they don't need us to fix a problem; they just need us to listen, like Christina said, and it's so important to check in with them um, from time to time and make it. I look at Elena, yeah, the mom eyebrow, yes, definitely goes up. um, to check with them from time to time, making the conversations just normal, and when everything seems okay, but also when it doesn't seem okay, just making it normal so it makes them feel comfortable and easier for them to kind of open up little by little, more and more, until they just automatically come to us to talk. So let's do some rapid fire here. One sentence only. Who wants to go first this time? Who wants to go first? Raise your hand. Healthy masculinity is, Christina.
Healthy masculinity, I think, is leading, like as a man, leading with emotional intelligence.
Coach Joe?
I'll piggyback off what Raul was saying all night. Emotional expression. One of the things we talk about a lot of is not having a lot of time, but we don't invest a lot of time in personal growth. So
Yeah.
I think that's something we need to think about a little bit more in the positive relationships that we have. So, we say we don't have a lot of time. So let's think about the time that we do have and utilize it more effectively.
Awesome. That's great. How about you, Raul?
Healthy masculinity is when you combine strength and heart in everything that you do.
Nice. That's a good one. For me, I would say being emotionally aware, but not emotionally withdrawn. So, um, so let's see. We have some comments here. We have a lot of comments. I should suggest you guys go back and help me answer this kind of questions. So before we wrap up, I love for each one of you to leave our audience with one piece of encouragement, um, especially for the parents who's wondering if they're doing enough and who's concerned their child may be struggling emotionally with something that they haven't yet seen or recognized. That is just what is just a short piece of advice that you will give to this parent watching tonight, Raul?
Remind your sons how much you love them every single day. It's not just important for spouses to say that to one another. I mean, everybody has their love languages and they can vary, but especially with your sons as they're growing, as they're maturing, remind them that you love them. As much as they hear, man up, toughen up, all of those things, it's just as important for them to know that you love them. So just put that as a reminder on your phone. Let me remind my son today that I love him. And that'll start to really strengthen your mother-son relationships.
Yes, that's a good one. Now, if you need to put a reminder on your phone, then by all means do that. That's great. Thank you, Raul. How about you, Christina?
Um, my initial thought to the question was that if the person, the male, is in your life at the moment, it's never too late. Coming from the behavioral health background, it's never too late to start. Start whatever, listening, start observing. If the relationship is really strained and you never really talked, start having conversations. It's just start wherever you're at. If you haven't, just start. That's my advice.
Yes, it's really never too late to show up some love. Absolutely. How about you, Coach Straw?
I would say stop enabling your son.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure the parents out there know what they're doing by enabling them.
Yeah,
So stop it.
that's a good one. Oh my God, that's a good one. Thank you. Um, for me, I will say to, like I said earlier, to don't wait till your son is struggling to start having these conversations. Just make them part of everyday life. Some Sometimes these little conversations, like it can happen in the car on the way to school, around the dinner table, anywhere, at any point. Just little conversations to create and build that trust and create that safe space where they know they can come to you. And when they do, don't be quick to fix it. Don't be quick to react. Just listen with your heart before you respond with your words. And just, again, listen more and react less. So, yeah, ouch, John. Yeah, that was a good one. I just saw that. That's why you're laughing, huh? You saw her comment?
I think that's a whole nother topic conversation that we should probably have a
No,
part two about
yeah,
enabling your
yeah.
children. Yes.
This is good. This is what's good. Oh my God. So as we wrap up tonight, I just want to say thank you guys to each one of you for taking the time to be here, for sharing your wisdom and experiences and your hearts with all of us. And I truly appreciate each one of you. And to everyone who joined us tonight, thank you for spending part of your evening with us. I hope this conversation encouraged you and that gave you something to think about and maybe even inspired a few meaningful conversations at home. I know there's a lot of comments. Be sure to go back and try to answer all of them. So if you found this value in this tonight's episode, please share with another parent, grandparent, teacher, coach, whoever you think will really benefit from hearing this conversation. And if you're not already following us on Facebook, please do so. You could hit that follow button, and if you can find me as Yara and Ortiz, as it appears on the screen. And as always, I see you, I feel you, I am you. We're in this together. Stay grounded, stay fierce, and let's get making those badass mama moves. See you in the next one.
Bills pile high, but I won't lose sight. Got my fierce mama vibe, I'm ready to fight. Navigate the struggles, I'm the captain here. With my dreams in focus, no room for fear.